So the readings are perfect for our discussion about vocations. And I said vocation, not vacation, right? Vocation. So what are our vocations in the church? What are they? Who knows? Vocations in the church. Okay, we're going to learn something then. Go ahead. Huh? Prayers? No? Yeah. What you're called to be, yes. And in church we have who? Jesus, yeah. Who else do we have vocation-wise? Yeah. Me, yeah. Priests, we have deacons, and consecrated religious. And those are like our sisters, right? So we have priests, deacons, and consecrated religious. And that's what we're praying for today and all week, that we'll have people who are generous in hearing God's call to come and follow Him and live lives of faith in and through their vocations, through the priesthood and religious life and the diaconate. So how many years does it take to be a priest? Who knows? 8, very good, close guess. Because it's not 8, but it's 9 years. Isn't that amazing? You go to school all through kindergarten through 12th grade, and then you go off to college for another 9 years. Can you believe that? That is a long time. A long time. But during that time, what the young man is doing, or maybe the consecrated religious woman, they're learning about the faith in a very intense way, and you're also praying in a very intense way about what it is that God wants us to do. What does God want me to do? Does He want me to give my life to Him forever in ministry in the church? And so that's a really important question. All right, now where are our second graders? Where are you? Second graders, just stand up. Wherever you're at, just stand up. Can you believe, second graders, can you believe that I was your age when I decided that I wanted to be a priest? Isn't that amazing? Sit down, thank you. God calls us at the very earliest parts of our lives. And if we listen, He will be there to help us as a status. But it was there in second grade that I made the decision that I wanted to be a priest. And how did I know? Well, it was kind of interesting, because when I saw the priest, it was always like there was a real tight, close-up picture of him in my mind. It didn't matter anything else that was happening up around here. I always was laser-like focused on the priest. And I watched it. I carefully, said prayers, and that helped me to decide that this must be for me. Now, it's a long time in the making, right? Second grade to 9 years after high school is a long time. But, what you do during that time is you pray and you think about how good it is to follow Jesus. And each day, if He wants you, He's going to make sure that He's got you in the right place to be able to follow Him. That's the one thing that I've learned over the years, is that He puts you in the place where He wants you. And so you just go with it that way. So today, St. Paul, in our first reading, was talking just about like that. He was saying that he has been put in a place where he can serve God yet. And that place for St. Paul today was, he was imprisoned, or he was in jail. And it's like, how in the world can he serve God in prison? Well, the answer to that is by pouring himself out, even in prison, by giving himself totally to Jesus, he's able to serve. And not only does he honor Jesus this way, but he also becomes a great example of faith for the Philippians. And that's why that letter that we hear has lasted almost 2,000 years. that letter that we heard. It was such a wonderful articulation of what it is to follow Jesus. And St. Paul pours himself out, gives it his all, we would say. Gives it his all. Jesus in the gospel tells us the same thing. Regardless of our vocation, our first vocation is discipleship. And Jesus says that we have to give it our all. So there are no lukewarm disciples who follow Jesus. That's his whole point. You know, he says you have to hate mom and dad, you have to hate brother, sister, you have to, and he doesn't mean hate them. He wants you to love mom and dad. But what he was saying is that you have to be all in. You have to be dedicated. And it takes a lot of hard work to be dedicated in that kind of way. So if you're living your discipleship, you ask yourselves, how am I doing? How am I doing in pouring myself out, like St. Paul, following Jesus, doing what Jesus would want me to do, acting the way that Jesus would want me to act, saying things that Jesus would want me to say? How are we doing with those things? That's all, God bless you, that's all part of following our vocation as disciples in the church. And today, you know, Jesus even says it's harder than that. He says you have to take up your cross and follow me. He says you can't just leave the cross behind you. That's your cross, and if you're going to be united with me, with my cross, you have to pick up your cross and follow me. So that's what Jesus wants from us. Now, whether being a disciple will lead you to a church vocation, that's work that you are going to have to start doing with God. But I bet that there are some of our boys here who are called to priesthood, if you only hear that call. I think there are some girls who might be called to the consecrated life, becoming a sister and ministering in the church in that way. But we have to listen, and we have to be totally dedicated. That's where it begins, doing the hard work, staying dedicated, and being not afraid to pick up our cross and follow Jesus. When we do that, we love him, we honor him, and we will serve him best in this world. So think about it, and at the end of Mass, we're going to have Eucharistic adoration and a few prayers for people who are in the seminary, in the places where they are training for religious life. And we'll pray for them, and we'll pray that there will be other young people with generous hearts to open their hearts and follow Jesus.